It was a dark and stormy night, nor'easter rolling in. It's a long 12 hours, the power's out again. I pray for inner strength and that we don't lose no lives. Just another day in the first responders' eyes. Half a cup of coffee's gone, the first run comes in. A car slid off the road, there's a family trapped within. My heart beats like a hammer, I can barely catch my breath. I'm thinking the worst and hoping for the best. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Now my shift is finally over, I gotta deal with what's mine and try to find a way to leave those tragedies behind. So I hug my 2 children, I kiss on my wife. Just another day, the first responder's life. Yeah, we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. It's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this burden when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone. Flashing lights fill the air, broken bodies everywhere. Another bad dream is stealing my sleep. 'Cause we ain't superheroes, we're just ordinary people trying to make a difference, and the first on every scene. And it's a heavy, heavy burden to carry all this hurting when you can't unsee the things you've seen. It keeps going on. When those sirens are gone, it keeps going on. When those sirens are gone.
Hey, welcome to the award-winning Mad Radio Show with John and Sam, your first responder network into healthy mental health. How you doing, Sam? You're frozen. Sam's frozen, and I'm all by myself. I don't know what happened with her internet, but at least she's got a good face, and she's frozen with a good face. So that's good. Today, with everything going on in the world, we want to touch on mental health, recovery, and resiliency in our first responders. Our first responders are our number one priority, and if they are not mentally healthy, then we will have an uptick in suicides. We'll have an uptick in alcoholism, divorce. The the story goes on, and we want to make sure we can try to prevent that in our first responder community. Now, the chat room is open, so please feel free to leave us a comment. We will try to answer it. We're going to have Shahidrah Cowgill on, and I'll let Sam, once Sam gets back on, introduce her and read her bio. But once again, both of us, me and Sam, have both experienced extreme mental health trauma where it turned into suicide attempts, both of us. And we want to share our stories. We want to share how we became so resilient, how we became, now I don't want to say healed because we're not, but how we get through each and every day with a positive attitude and helping others so that we don't fall back into that rabbit hole, because we know how easy it is to slip. And now more than ever is time to ask somebody, hey, how you doing? Right, Sam? You back?
Yes, I'm back. Sorry about that. That was
no. Hey, listen.
That was very strange. Everything.
Hey, at least you didn't freeze with one of those freaky looking faces.
Yeah, right. Halloween's coming up, so you never know what you guys are going to get. Yeah, my apologies on that. And I want to just give some kudos out there to the Massachusetts State Police. I want to personally thank some of the sheriffs out in California, and all of the sheriff's departments that have decided to not play into the politics and are fighting for our freedom. We call them the constitutional sheriffs. They are our last line of defense. And, John, you and I have spoken many times on this show and off the show about local law enforcement officers getting pulled into the political arena and flat out, protecting those and being asked to protect those and enforce laws that are completely unconstitutional. Yeah. And so Massachusetts state troopers, they basically said they're quitting over the vax mandate. And
you bring up the LA, you bring up California, and I saw an interview last night with the LA County Sheriff. LA County is probably one of the biggest counties in California.
Yeah, LA, San Bernardino County.
Yeah. Yep. And and this really shocked me too, because the LA County Sheriff is a Democrat, right? So his main priority was his officers. And what he said was he is in no way, no how, he doesn't care what the law is. He is not mandating his officers to get the vaccine. He feels, and this is where, you got your way left, right, you got your way radical left, you got your way radical right. But at least he, as a Democrat and Republican, he was able to see and go, hey, listen, my officers' health are more important. And I want to be able to let them make a choice on what is best for them. He even said, he goes, hey, listen, I'm the county sheriff. I got vaxxed. I cannot force another human being to stick something in their body that they do not feel comfortable with. So I thought the interview with him, and you can check it out. He was on Fox News last night. Check it out with the LA County Sheriff. It was an amazing interview. It really brought a lot of perspective, a lot of insight. And, and like I said, he wasn't Republican. He wasn't far left. He was a Democrat who really had the humane thing about saying, I care about my officers. So kudos to the LA Sheriff.
Yeah. Well, he also knows is when you start crossing the line and mandating things, it's going to come in some areas. There won't be a police force big enough to handle the issues. And maybe that's the ultimate plan. I don't know. But I'm just glad that we are starting to see things turn around, and not only, no vax mandates, but they're also not going to enforce anything that has to do with calls about COVID and not showing vax cards and all that ridiculous stuff.
Let's get off the vaccine for 1 second. Let's talk about the positions our officers and our first responders are being placed in. Look at Virginia. The officers were called to a school board meeting because a father was upset with the school board about his daughter being sexually assaulted in the girls' room by a man, by a boy, another student wearing a dress, because they said he identified some like transgender, but he still sexually assaulted this 14-year-old child, right? So this father went to the school board and voiced his concern, how that the school board was covering it up, and he wasn't getting violent, he wasn't making threats, but they called the police on him, and the police ended up tackling this father who was just trying to get a point across to the school board. Now, this same child that sexually assaulted his daughter was not arrested, was transferred to another school in a different district, and committed the same sexual assault in a bathroom on another female student.
Yeah.
Priorities
are a little out of whack.
Right. And you know what? And everybody's looking at these officers that were at the school board meeting for tackling this father, looking at them as they were bad. They were bad. They were doing their job. They were put there to do a job. That's all they were.
I think the issue, though, is that at some point you have to say, no, we're not doing that. If somebody gets violent and gets out of hand, that's a completely different thing. But if somebody is just exercising their First Amendment right, speaking, do
we still have the First Amendment right?
Yeah, the First Amendment's still there.
Is it really? Are we allowed to use it? Are we really allowed to use it?
It's on any given day in any given locality, I guess not. But I also want to give a kudos. I was at an event today, a shout out to Patriot Paws. We were at an event, a bunch of us veteran service organizations together, and they have expanded their program. And hey, Zach, if you're listening and watching, they now are taking the dogs into dispatch, into first responder arenas to just kind of allow the stress to come down, because, we all know when times get really tough, sometimes you just got to hug a dog and that releases stress, and dogs are awesome. And it's so I'm glad that they're doing that. So
it's a proven therapy. It's a proven therapy.
So lots of stuff out there to help de-stress. So what else has been going on? You want to make the transition, because we've got a jam-packed show with a lot of questions tonight. I know we're going to get a lot of them.
Let's bring on our guest, and the one thing I want to stress is I want people to share this with their families. I want other first responders who may be battling, or maybe they were not battling publicly, but they may be battling privately. So our show hits those certain parts of vulnerability, because we open up and we share that maybe we'll get somebody else to open up and share just a little bit to dig them out of that rabbit hole. So please share our show. Please follow it, and maybe you too could help save a life with our program.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have I have known our guest for a while now. She's amazing at what she does. She is a licensed professional counselor, supervisor, and has worked in private practice since 2011. She's the founder of Fundamental Foundations Counseling Center, a multi-location group practice headquartered in Little Elm, and there's 13 providers. As a licensed professional counselor supervisor, our guest has worked with clients of all ages, addressing issues, relationship struggles, mood and anxiety issues, trauma recovery, life transition, and is EMDR trained. She currently mentors students pursuing postgraduate and professional, further education in the field of psychology from high school to postgraduate and professional levels. And in 2016, she co-founded Frontline Crisis Response Solutions, a 501c3 nonprofit based in Frisco, Texas, promoting emotional wellness and resilience to first responders. As a senior chaplain and mental health team lead for the Texas IFOC SISM team, she is deployed to critical incidents resulting from natural disasters to active shooter events to support first responders. She's currently pursuing a PhD in psychology with specialization in disaster relief and trauma. And beyond that, beyond the scope of her clinical work, she is an author and speaker. She's been married for 14 years and is the mother of 2 beautiful children. Please welcome Shahidrah Cowgill to Mad Radio, everybody. Shahidrah, welcome.
Thank you so much for having me. I have so much respect for you both and love what you're doing with the show. Thank you for having me on once again. Glad to be here.
Welcome back. Welcome back.
Yeah, welcome back. And
you always bring so much. You always bring so much to the show. And, we have new listeners that will benefit so much from everything that you have to say and what you can bring to the table.
Yeah, the comment stream is open. So as we're talking to Shahidrah, if you have any questions, please just post it where it says post a comment, and it'll come across and we can ask Shahidrah your question, because you do a lot. And since we are a First Responders Network, we want to focus on our first responders tonight. I mentioned EMDR, which we know from myself, from Jeff's story, and from a lot of other first responders that we've spoken to. Very just highly effective when it comes to treating trauma and the cumulative trauma that some of our first responders go to. But there's deeper than that, because the work that goes into trauma recovery, what you also do is resilience and the life transitions. If you're transitioning from one, military to first responder, or first responder to getting back into civilian life, there's always a level of building resilience that goes into that. Can you talk a little bit about that and how it's integrated into your practice?
Absolutely. So I want to touch on something before I jump into the resilience piece. I think it'll lay a little bit of a foundation. There's a lot of research that is being done right now and in previous years on post-traumatic stress disorder. Okay. And many times there's such a focus on the disorder part. And I know you guys don't like that word disorder. But I think it overshadows the opportunity for growth. And that's really where resilience comes in, right? Resilience is about being able to maintain a stable routine. It's about being able to maintain a lifestyle that allows a person not just to recover. It allows them to live a healthy life, but it also eventually allows them to thrive. And there are a number of entities and programs right now. It's kind of like a rat race to figure out the linchpin program that is going to help, foster the greatest amount of resilience in the fastest amount of time for our first responders and medical providers and secondary first responders. But within my practice, we have really taken a positive psychology approach to where it's not such a focus on what is not going well. It's about restoring the routine. It's about activating the pieces that may have that person may have stopped, even though they know that it has worked for them. A lot of times when I talk to first responders, I ask them what their non-negotiables are. Right. So when things are not going well, what are the first things to fall off, to make you fall off the wagon? And many times it centers around sleep. It centers around the healthy practices of eating right. First responders do shift work. So they grab what is available versus, what may be the healthiest option. In addition to the family routine, having support, having the support of peers who know what's going on. Let's be honest, first responders are not necessarily the best at being vulnerable and opening up and sharing about that. So when we talk about non-negotiables, those are the things that keep us well, right? And so we focus on how do we reinstitute those things? How do we offer some accountability? How do we get sustainability with that? And a lot of it comes with having a mental health routine, just as you would for your other health priorities. Our medical system is not set up for preventative care. I'm not saying anything that's not new. We're set up for crisis, right? When things are not going
reactive,
well.
right.
You bring up such a great point about the mental health awareness part, where first responders aren't as vulnerable as they should be, right? And after about 5 or 10 years on the job out on the street, you get this hardened shell around you, depending on the location where you work, and depending on your peers and depending on your department and how they view and react to mental health and how they react to crises. So what happens is that shell over time gets so thick that we can't open up. I just had a conversation with a couple of Vietnam vets who felt that same way, that their generation, their way of thinking was shielded, and now they can't get it out. It's so hard to get it out. So journaling, if you don't want to speak to somebody, journaling, or let's start at the very beginning, the new generation of police officers, the academy. We have to let those kids, I call them kids, we got to let those kids know that it's okay to be able to speak out, to be able to cry, to be able to, yes, you could be that tough cop, that tough SWAT cop. That's all well and good, but it's also good to be able to release that inner child and cry over things you see and be emotional on and be empathetic to the things that you've encountered throughout your shift. It's okay to do that, and I think once we get there, we'll see a lot more progress in our mental health field. If that makes any,
I agree with that. I think it does start at the beginning of training. You bring up a really good point, that it has to be infused into the culture, and it has to start from the top down, but it does have to start in the academies. And I think there are pieces of it that get sprinkled in that I have heard, where they may bring in a veteran who has walked the walk and talked the talk and lived through a lot of things to share their story, but it doesn't go much beyond that. So,
sure, yeah. I had the opportunity a couple of times, and we're going to continue the relationship with Dallas Police Department, to come in and, like you said, to share a story of what it's like to be in law enforcement, what it was like for me, tell my 9/11 story. But it's beyond that, what I've done post, because that's what's going to set them up for success and build those resilient skills. And part of it is learning and being open to learning. And we already do the tough training anyway, right? So if you're training firearms, if you're training building entry, if you're whatever the training, control tactics, you got to build in that training to build resiliency. Resiliency, I don't know. It's used in different ways, all over the place. So, however grammatically correct it is, I'll throw it both out there. And I've also heard the term positive psychology before, and I think it's such a great point to make. Is like, some people will come into therapy and just be like, doc, just fix me, right? And it's all focused on, well, what do you think is wrong with you? Where it's like, when you step back and when John and I have a conversation with somebody and they're like, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. And it's like, actually, that's what's right. And that's the best part of you. And it's just been diminished a little bit by maybe the traumas that the person has been exposed to. So like the best of them, was riding up here, and like the stacking trauma just kind of pushed it down. And to be able to get that back and have a routine again and feel the freedom of being able to work and make a positive impact in their communities without feeling restrained or frustrated. The positive psychology is a critical key, and I don't think we have enough. I'll just say it, enough practitioners that really focus on that. So thank you.
Yeah. I come from the perspective that law enforcement, fire, rescue, you guys are at the top of your game. You're professionals, and nobody wants to be told that they're broken, right? And so it becomes a rapport builder in the sense of getting buy-in with first responders to know, okay, this is what we're going to work towards. We're not just going to stay in this place where we rehash all of my issues. I know that I have stuff. We all have stuff. We all have things that we go through. We all have things that we're dealing with. But what do you do with that? And I'll preface this. I do think it's important for people to be able to tell their story. That's how we work through trauma, to be able to tell our way through it. But after that storytelling is done, where do you grow and go from there?
Right.
So when we're talking about that hardened shell, let's talk about, because when Sam brought this in the open, when you were talking about the transition, and I want to talk about the transition of a 20-year career now back into civilian life. You got that hardened shell. What are some ways that officers could make that transition and break through that and not be overwhelmed with the sudden decline in that hypervigilance, going from running in the streets to now sitting on the couch, sort of,
Don't sit on the couch.
Well,
Keep running.
No, but what it is, it's an immediate stop. You're so adrenaline addicted that now, cooking or cleaning the house or just skimming the pool is just not enough. You become in essence an adrenaline junkie through a 20-year career. And how does that stop? How do you change that?
Yeah, that's a really, really great question. And I think it's a valid question. The adrenaline is a big deal, right? A part of how our body is made and how we respond to trauma is that it gets activated in those moments, right? And so when people deal with post-traumatic stress, or they deal with acute stress or vicarious trauma, the body many times can misfire. The brain can misfire and cause those hormones to almost be overreactive in a way. My recommendation really is to find a routine. A therapist, mental health can help, right? With EMDR. EMDR is really built to help reset the system, to help people reprocess the events, the difficult memories, and really with first responders, there's new modalities to do it in a fairly quick way, so that when we are talking about living, it is not just at that 100% level. Your body has been reset to a point where you can now go back and say, okay, these are the things that I should be doing in retirement. I can go fishing and be okay. I can do yard work and be okay. But it does take a willingness to submit to a process to get the intervention. I also think having a support system that, whether it's through peers, whether it's through family, that supports that transition period. Many times there is a lack of understanding of what that transition period should look like. Family members may say, well, I know you just retired, but why aren't you able to do this? And it's not a switch that you just flip off, right? It just takes time. So,
I wrote an article for the Blues magazine called "When the Music Stops." And what we look at as first responders from the day one, we're always told to be financially set when we retire, right? So we always make sure we are financially set. And then when we're getting closer to retirement, we're always taking those classes on where to be diverse with our money, with our 401ks, setting up our medical insurance for retirement, and all that other things. And we want to make sure that we're financially and medically stable when that day comes where we put in our papers. But we do not ever look at the mental health aspect of, like you just said, what's that transition period going to look like? Well, if we start planning at day one, that transition after 20 years or 30 years, and we mentally prepare ourselves for that break in service, I think when we retire, we'll be able to transition a lot faster. It'll be a lot smoother. I don't want to say faster. Let's say that transition will be a lot smoother, and we'll be able to adapt to civilian life much better than we would if it just came to a screeching halt.
Well, John, I mean, that's what ultimately with the Badge of Honor and all the other great grassroots programs out there to be able to work it into mental health into the career. So whether it's a checkup every year or, the build on of a outside agency peer support. So they're going outside their agency. It's not necessarily within their four walls of where they work, just smashing that stigma and making it okay to say, dang, that was a crappy call. Wasn't it effed up when this happened and like, just talk, right?
Well, we've seen it, and we had a guest on the show a couple of weeks ago who an officer from a small town here in Texas. He was shot five times.
Matt, last week. Yep.
Yeah, Matt. He was shot 5 times, almost died, drove himself 40 minutes to get help. A 13-year-old child had put 2 tourniquets on his arm after he pulled in front of a firehouse. And I was it 18 months of therapy and everything else. And nobody in his department had to
ask how he was doing up.
Right. Nobody asked him how he was mentally after you got shot 5 times and went through all this mental trauma.
Wow.
Nobody had the initiative to say, "Hey, brother, are you okay? How's your head?"
Yeah, 18 months of PT. Why not mix in some, what do we call it, MT? Some therapy? I don't know. I think I just created something new.
He said that after he got shot and after he was able to heal a little bit, he had 1 day of therapy. They said,
how are you doing?
How you doing? And he's like, "Oh, I'm fine now," But it blows my mind. It blows my mind that we have departments out there that are still treating our officers this way. They're not robots. And like you said, Sam, we have to do mental checkups either every year when we get our physicals or every 3 years. Pilots go for retraining every 300 hours. Let's take these guys off the street. Let's really look at the red flags. If we see, now we got body cameras. If we see a great officer who is a great officer from years 1 to 4 or 1 to 5, and then all of a sudden we see on a body cam that he's agitated at the smallest little thing, let's look at that flag. Let's pull him in. Hey, man, how you doing? Yeah. Instead of disciplining the officer, let's treat it. Let's go, hey, are you stressing for some reason? What can we do? What can we as a department do for you so you don't get mentally stressed, so you don't cause that issue that may ruin your career or ruin your family's life?
Yeah,
I think our departments are putting our officers in very bad predicaments by allowing this stuff to continue and not doing their due diligence and treating our officers.
And let's talk about how that spills over into family. Shahidrah, you had touched on, having support from the family in if a first responder comes to you and whatever treatment protocol is appropriate for that first responder. Do you include the family in it?
Yeah, so it depends, right? And so if they have reached out on their own and they say, yeah, I just want to do this for me. We do ask, is there a spouse or their kids? Who's in the family? We do that as a part of the assessment. But ultimately, they have a choice of deciding on if the therapy is initially for them and they want it to be individualized, or if they want to bring their family in. I will say eventually I do see the whole family. When a relationship is established, that trust, that bond, it doesn't go anywhere. And ultimately, they say, my wife is coming to see you. And it's not an ask, it is, my wife is coming to see you. Or I would like to bring my son. When can we get an appointment? Right. But I do think it is really about establishing that connection and having a trusting relationship to be able to get to the family unit. And ultimately, I've seen it work the other way too. I've seen it where first responders will bring their children in and say, hey, my kid is having behavioral issues. I don't want to talk about me, but can we just get him right? So it can work up the chain the other way. So where I would see the child and then I'm working with the parents and then eventually I'm working with the first responder.
Yeah, because it takes healing from to really heal completely. Involvement at every aspect and at every level. And I still say my son tells my story, better than I do. And he's been telling it since he was 5. So it's, being open with what's tough without giving details necessarily. And you touched on building that rapport. Now, first responders, we are not good at like, hey, what's your, if you don't have a background, how are you going to get me? And I know, Shahidrah, you do, and especially with where you've traveled and the critical incidents that you have been, I mean, like intimate details in it. Thank you for that, because that is not the easiest thing to do post-critical incident, because a lot of first responders are just like, zip, bye.
Right. I count it a privilege to be able to be in a position to do that. I also know there are not many of us out there who are trained and aware of the culture enough to stand and walk in those positions. So I have had a number of opportunities to do that. And each one, I learned something new. But I also realize that the basics and the information that's shared, that doesn't change, right? So just because we go in for a critical incident, we don't always have people that are just like jumping at the bit to tell us all their story and what has happened. But we know that when we provide the education and the knowledge and the what to do, eventually, if they start to see, okay, they said these were going to be red flags. I'm not sleeping. I haven't slept for 2 weeks. I'm having flashbacks. I'm having nightmares. They start to see some of these things that come up and they reach out. So I do think it's about awareness. I do think it's about letting them know that there is help, that there is treatment, that there are people who are trained and who are available to offer support to them.
I want to just piggyback on what Sam just said and what you just said about building that trust factor and building that just building a trust factor with somebody who maybe not have the background as a police officer and not a brother on the street or whatever. But one thing that all first responders lack is patience. We have zero patience, right? So I see a lot of people getting very discouraged. They'll sit because it's the first time they've ever been to a therapist. And maybe they fell down a rabbit hole a little bit. And it's the first time they've ever been on a couch. It's the first time they've ever talked to a stranger about this. So after 2, 3, maybe even 4 visits, right? We've learned each other's name, we've learned each other's family, right? But I'm sitting there going, like Sam said in the beginning, fix me, right? And I've been to your office 4 times. I'm not fixed. Screw this. I'm okay. I'll just go take care of it. Explain how therapy works for the first responder. It's not a quick fix, and it takes time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You bring up a really good point. About a month ago, I did a training on the city of Austin. They did a pilot program for their police officers. And I don't know if you guys know about this, but it was an EMDR pilot program for rapid EMDR for that very reason, because first responders are a bit impatient. And it really is a wonderful program. We're actually in the process of setting up a pilot program here to do that with some first responder agencies, to where it is inclusive and it allows confidential support, but also for it to be fairly a fast process, to work through some of the hardest and most difficult events that, a first responder may have experienced, and to do it rather quickly.
Now, Sam, EMDR worked for her. EMDR worked for Jeff. Okay. I was in recovery for 30 days. And after about the 3rd week in recovery, I did EMDR. Did not work. All right. I went to 2 sessions, did not work. And I thought about this, and after talking with Sam and after talking with Jeff and thinking about how impatient I am, my EMDR did not work because of it was only 2 sessions, and it takes time. It takes a buildup of trust. I went from my therapist. My therapist didn't do the EMDR. I was sent to a different person that I never even spoke to really to do the EMDR. So now I have to regain that trust all over again. I have to regain that bond. So even with the EMDR, and I know it's so effective, we have to learn patience first. We have to learn that mental health road is a slow one. And we have to, as hard as it is to be patient, we have to let the professionals do their job and work through these issues that all of us eventually do have.
Yeah. If you knew on the backside of it, sticking with it, being consistent, and you knew you were going to walk out with tools to deal with any triggers that you may have to help, what happens if I have a nightmare? How do when I wake up, the adrenaline's high, how do I deal with that? Because let me tell you something, you can't exist on adrenaline because eventually the body will run out, and you don't want that to happen. We've got enough health problems after we retire, but if you are running on adrenaline, eventually that's going to stop, and it's not going to last you, your 25 plus year career, certainly. And Shahidrah, I'm sure you talk to people that complain about a lot of different health problems as they have number of years up, 10 plus, and it's all trauma related, because they can't shut off their body can't shut off what needs to be shut off. And once you get that balance back, it's like, oh, this is what it's supposed to feel like.
Some people hear about EMDR, and like Shahidrah said, they think it's a quick fix. And here's back where misinformation is filtered down to some of our officers and some of our first responders. They think that, I'm going to go get EMDR and I'm going to be okay. It's not shock treatment. Sam, if you don't mind me asking, how long was your EMDR? How many sessions did you go through?
Yeah, so mine was almost a year. When you go through the process, you find that there's more to actually unpackage.
Right.
So it's not, but that's my personal journey.
Right. No, that's your personal journey.
Yeah. I mean, I've spoken to other first responders, John, as you know, that got treated for a month, and it is how the practitioner did the EMDR with them, gave them the relief that they needed right then. And let's say there weren't other things to unpackage to a level that needed to be explored.
But that's what makes this so complex, because everybody's mind is different.
Our brains are all different. Yeah.
Everybody's brain is different. So me and you can be affected by the same trauma, which kind of we were.
Yeah.
And I have
completely
totally different reactions, totally different treatments. And that's what we have to explain, because we see on the streets, say in an officer involved shooting, right? 2 officers get into the same shooting. One fires his gun, one doesn't fire his gun, but they're still at that same point in time, right? They treat the officer who fired his weapon differently than they treat the officer who did not fire his weapon. Mm-hmm. It's the same exact trauma. It's the same exact trauma. And this is where we have to build on that resiliency, and we have to bring the education to these departments saying, listen, just because this one was in the front and saw, they both saw the car accident, they both saw the dead body, they have to be treated the same. And and their treatments are going to be, they have to be treated, but their treatments may be different and take longer. Am I explaining that correctly, Shahidrah?
Yeah. So each person comes to the table with different life experiences, which makes the variation a little bit more tricky when you're talking about treatments and what is effective for one and what is not effective for the other. I also think, as far as EMDR is concerned, there's more therapies out there. So you talk about EMDR not working for you. All of the therapies are really built to help survivors or first responders story tell their way through events, right? Some people process a little faster. Some process, at the rate.
That's the problem, John. You're so darn slow.
I didn't say that.
I'll tell you. Truthfully, with me,
we'll
memory,
find the right person. That's what I say.
No, my memory is shot. My memory is shot to the point where, I remember being in certain spots. I don't remember I can't see it. I can't. It's weird. My head is fucked. Excuse me. But my head is really messed up because I don't remember, and that could be a good thing that I don't remember because I don't have. It doesn't affect me every day.
Like a defense mechanism.
Like a defense. Well, that's just it. I think my brain has built up such a defense mechanism that it says, "Oh, screw you! You don't want to see that again. You don't want." But I think that's what caused my EMDR, because I couldn't remember details of certain aspects because I couldn't dig deep enough into my brain. I need a quick fix. I need someone to go in like with a scope and a spoon and just start digging it out.
Yeah. So I want to make another point, in regards to that. So EMDR is really built to take the intensity and the sting out of moments. That doesn't mean that you don't continue forward with other forms of therapy, cognitive behavioral, family therapy, couples therapy after. And so just because you do EMDR therapy doesn't mean that it's done. And like to Sam's point, it does bring up and can bring up other issues that need to be addressed. But it may be that EMDR's part was to take the intensity out of remembering those moments so that it can be addressed in other forms of therapy. Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Yeah, no, that makes perfect sense. And like I said, it's a path. It's a journey of healing that, it could be forever. It could be for the rest of your, for the rest of your life, but it does get easier. It's you got to take your car to get an oil change every 3 months. Hey, listen, my body now has to go once a month and relieve itself of all these traumas, and I have to purge myself every once in a while. So yeah, that's the price we got to pay sometimes.
Well, and that's the good thing about doing what we do and building the awareness piece, is that it's okay to do that. To have a successful first responder career, you want to do that. you want to be able to unpackage something once a month. And it's okay to walk in and say, hey, this stuff happened, but I'm not having any effects from it, I'm not having any nightmares. And maybe that's because you've received the resiliency tools that you needed in the first place. And isn't that ultimately what we're all working for, right?
If you say what you just said to an officer out of the academy, 1 year, just 1 year, hey, you have to unpackage your trauma. He's going to look at you like,
well, you don't say that.
No, but
Yeah.
no, but yeah,
Yeah.
yes, you do, because that's what we know. We know we have to unpackage our trauma, and we have to know that. But they're not going to know what you're talking about.
Like you got to go talk about your shit that you know.
But officers do not know. A lot of beginning officers do not know what trauma is, and they don't understand that you experience trauma your first day on the job. You're hyper vigilant. Even if you don't see a car accident or a shooting or anything else, your body clicks into
if you're stopping somebody, pulling somebody over
mode. Now, your awareness and the thought of being shot, killed, hurt is elevated to a spot that your body has never experienced before. So day one on a job, you are experiencing huge trauma. Your body's going through huge changes, and we don't address that. We need to address that.
And that's why we have people like Shahidrah, who are the professionals who are there for our first responders. And I wanted to ask, I think I have this right, because I want to put the website up. It's fundamentalfoundcounseling.com, right? It's not the whole word, right?
Right. Or the ffccenter.com. Both of
sure. Now you get easy.
Fundamental Found Counseling.
You just typed all that out.
Preloaded so it's the
FFCCenter.com.
For 3 C's.
The FFC.
Oh, 2
so
C's.
2 F's, 2 C's back to back.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, that's the FFCCEN.com.
Yeah, so that's our website. We do have 3 locations. We just opened
a
new location in Dallas. Our headquarters is in Little Elm. We also have another office in Allen. Our providers, we've got a couple of providers that are EMDR trained that work specifically with first responders. And we are rolling out a restoration wellness mental health day, if you will, for not just normal people, but for also first responders.
Not for normal people. We're normal.
Normal.
Normal. What is normal?
There is no normal.
There is no normal.
Not anymore.
So that's fantastic. I'm going to leave this your contact up, and just I want to ask you, for the next 30 seconds, a minute, what is your message to first responders out there? What would you like to say to them?
I like to say that wellness is holistic. We have to be willing to recharge our minds, recharge our spirits, and recognize that mental health is a part of it. Our physical health, our financial wellness, our environmental wellness, our social wellness, all of those things combine. And we do have to take a temperature on each one of those areas. We talked about mental health checkups a little bit during the show. I recommend those highly. If you have a provider who's willing to check on you, just like you would go every 6 months to get your teeth checked, be willing to do that. It's a field that you're in that has a number of occupational hazards, and it's one thing to do to help keep yourself well and to stay in the field that you're in without burning out.
Well, thank you for that, Shahidrah. This hour has flown by, as it always does. You guys, if you're listening and you need help, contact Shahidrah. Excuse me, ragweed. I already did COVID. It's ragweed. Contact Shahidrah through the link that we have on the screen right now. She is there along with her partner counselors to assist you, because remember, you're not in this alone, and it is absolutely okay not to be okay. We just don't want you to stay there. So thank you again, Shahidrah. We will definitely be in touch, and please let us know about that day that you're planning.
Absolutely.
So
Yes.
we can put the word out.
100%. Thank you so much for having me on.
You.
You
Thank
bet. Can reconnect with you soon. Take care.
Take care. Bye.
Bye. Another fantastic show, just chock full of great information. And so grateful to Shahidrah and the work that she does for first responders, for first responder families, because it's all about healing everybody. So take advantage of that, the ffccenter.com. And you know what else people need to take advantage of? They need to take advantage of staying in contact with Mad Radio. We're asking you all to take advantage of us and the information that we put out by connecting with us on social. It's like super important. So if you're part of our Facebook family through a badge of honor or at Mad Radio, thank you so much for tuning in each week. If you wouldn't mind, jump over to our YouTube page, which is at Mad Radio Texas, and just follow us over there. Again, the magic number we're trying to get to is 200, so we can name have our own YouTube page, not the squiggly whatever all those letters are in the URL. And if you're part of our YouTube family, thank you so much. Please jump over to Facebook at Mad Radio Texas or at a badge of honor, and like us over there, follow us over there. You get the push outs, all the previews for our shows, who's coming on, when you can tune in. And I want to
be a guest. If you want to be a guest, if they want to be a guest on our show, if you're a first responder and want to be on a guest on our show, please reach out, contact us. We'd love to hear your story, hear how your resiliency, your recovery, how your mental health is going. So please don't forget, you can reach out, and we'd love to have a conversation with you on our show as well.
Absolutely. And speaking of that, a huge shout out to you, John, and huge thank yous for everybody that tuned in this past Monday to Solving Your Stress mini-series. We have moved that over to a badge of honor, so we'll be going live every Monday, 12:30 Central Time. Thank you, John, for putting together such a phenomenal intro for me. It really touched my heart. And it's great. And so we're switching it up a little bit. Yes, we talk about everything stress because I take your questions, but we're really going to dial in and focus on first responder, the PTS brain, and all the things that make us special when it comes to dealing with stress.
Oh, you froze again, Sam. So I guess I'll just take over because you froze in a laughing mode now. Don't forget, on November 4th, Garland PD, go to badgeofhonor.com.
Lost us again for a second.
Yeah. Go to badgeofhonor.com for November 4th. We are hosting a workshop at the Garland Police Department. It's open to all first responders. You get TCOL credits for the year. So
and you get fed.
on. What?
You get fed.
And you get fed.
We're going to have food. Yeah, breakfast, lunch.
Food. And what first responder doesn't like free food? So
yes.
That'll be November 4th over at Garland Police Department. Then we will have another one on November 17th. 12th in Lindale, right?
Lindale, yep. Lindale PD is our sponsor. So if you're in the Lindale area, Tyler, Texas area, and all of the surrounding areas, come on in. We usually have people drive about an hour. Come on in. That workshop starts a little bit later because we all have to travel out there from this side of the Metroplex. So that's 9 to 5. And I want to thank, Chick-fil-A has been our partner from the very beginning. They provide breakfast at all of our workshops, and we have different folks that provide the lunch. We've got Dickies. Huge shout out to Dickies for our Garland PD, and we're still working on securing lunch for our Lindale PD workshop. So a badge of honor. I'm being neglectful with our banners here. A badgeofhonor.com. You can sign up for those separate links. And if you have any questions, of course, reach out to all of our first responders out there that protect us here on the home front. Thank you for what you do. Thank you for putting one more.
No, December 11th. Family Fun Day, veterans and first responders at the VROC at the Veterans Resource and Outreach Center in Rowlett, Texas. We'll be hosting a first responder
fundraiser.
First responder family fun day for our veterans. There'll be face painting for the kids, balloon making. There'll be a whole bunch of activities for our families to come out and just have fun. Just have fun.
Just be a family together out.
Be a family.
Yeah. So we thank you. We love you. We're praying for you and your family every single day. And for all of our veterans and those that are still active duty protecting us abroad. Wow. We can't thank you enough for keeping the enemy at bay before they arrive on our shores, and amazing veteran event today. And to all of the Afghan veterans of Afghan war, 20 years was a long time. You guys went through a lot. Please reach out.
She froze again, but that's okay. I'll take over. Sam, you got to get better internet. But anyway, we're gonna wrap it up, and I just want to tell you, do not give up. And I want to thank all of our Border Patrol for keeping us safe. I want to thank everybody else out there. And until next week, this is John and Sam with the Badge of Honor. And God bless you. And don't forget to reach out. If you need help, we're only a click away. So I don't know if Sam's going to come back on. Oh, she's back on. I was just wrapping it up. You were all frozen.
Yeah.
But I said we're going to have to do a fundraiser to get Sam new internet service over there.
I think so. I think we're going to have to raise funds because this is painful. Sorry about that, everybody.
No, you're good. I wrapped it up already.
Okay. Until next week, thank you. Lots of love to you all. So appreciate you. And take care.
Take care, Sam.